Welcome to the Collab podcast. My name is Michelle.
And my name is Devin.
On this podcast, we explore concepts of self-mastery and community collaboration
through in-depth panel discussions and intimate interviews with dance's most prominent figures.
Yeah. See my peanut butter jelly snack, pull it ride, but she painting. That's my sunshine when it's raining. That's my boo, yeah. When I'm all alone, she pulled through.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Collab podcast. Today's guest is truly a supreme soul. Raul Navalta, believe it or not, began his professional career through his passion of inline skating, and by the young age of 12 had appeared in numerous inline skating videos, participated in international competitions, and was even sponsored by multiple inline skating brands. Later, Raul was introduced to b-boying and DJ and would eventually be better known to the world as RJ Kool Raul. Pursuing his dreams of entertaining the masses, RJ gained over a decade of experience under his belt, traveling the world, teaching, performing, and sharing his passion for music and dance. RJ gained notoriety as a DJ, providing music for competitions locally and around the world.
As a dancer, he's also performed motion-captured moves for numerous video games such as Dance Groove Online and appeared in web and industry ads for companies like Sony, PlayStation, and Apple. RJ then became a household name and a crowd favorite when he danced with Supreme Soul and competed on the internationally acclaimed TV show, MTV's America's Best Dance Crew. RJ's popularity grew astronomically. One of his more notable accolades was when he hosted Kenya Dance 3 and helped Cupertino High School's 2010 graduating class raise $100,000 to donate to their sister school in Kenya. We have the great pleasure to share our show today with world-renowned entertainer and performer, RJ Navalta.
Oh my God, dude, you guys are making me like tear up. It's crazy to hear you guys talk about that stuff because like you just do things. And you just do things and you like sometimes forget what you do and who you work with. Damn, the Kenya dance thing was so big. Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's incredible. And I think because we knew you during the RJ Kool Raul phase, there was a lot of stuff in here, a lot of like nuggets that when we were doing our research, we didn't really know about you. And I mean, meeting you, we knew what a genuine, authentic person you were, but to be able to actually like see in writing all the good work you've done is just so incredible. We feel so privileged to know you and to have you on the show today.
Oh man, here they come. Oh. Trust me, the honor is mine and the privilege to be able to see you guys again after so many years. I'm just really, really, really excited to catch up with you guys.
Yeah, we're super excited too. And again, it's an honor for us. And it's always really awesome to look back on our dance journey and know that you were a huge part of it. Like from the very beginning when we were just like this little team in Chula Vista, no studio yet, trying to navigate through uncharted territories. But, in our intro for you, we talked a little bit about your history and where you started. So can you walk us through the early days of RJ?
Dance stuff?
Yeah, well, let's even go before that. I thought it was really interesting that you started with inline skating.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I actually lived when I first experienced like because I'm an only child. And when I first experienced being outside and being independent, it was through hockey. And at the time I had lived in St. Louis. And for whatever reason, I met some people, like a group of kids who played roller hockey. So the whole inline thing started off with roller hockey in St. Louis. And then I had moved to California, in Union City specifically. Where, no one played hockey. Who'd have thought? No one plays hockey in California. And it had been the first time I had seen aggressive inline skates versus roller hockey skates. And I watched some people from my local middle school. Shouts to Steve Rigmaiden, shouts to Keen DeSala, basically grinding on like the curbs and also these rails. And to be fair, I wasn't ever really good at team sports. So when I found this thing, it was like, oh, I can like do things my own way, and I can like make mistakes, and I wouldn't be like subject to a coach or someone. And it's actually kind of crazy because I just found a clip of myself like skating and learning how to flip off of this couch. I'll share the clip with you guys. It's so embarrassing. Yeah. So I had met the like small group of people from my apartment complex, and they were like my first real group of friends in California. It was crazy. And at the time, I think it was like 94, 95. Devin, I don't even know if you were born yet. Right?
Hello, put me on blast. I'm a 90s baby.
So before the internet, we used to play outside. Yeah, and in 94, 95, again, the rollerblading thing was just my vehicle to meet my friends, meet new friends. And around 95, 96, when I turned 11 and 12, 11-ish, 12-ish, sponsorship became this thing. Like my first sponsor was a local skate shop called The Station in Fremont. And they were a huge part of the growing community of inline skaters, because ESPN had come out with this concept called the X Games. And again, Devin, before your time, there was this thing where young kids would play outside on ramps, on bikes, skateboards, and rollerblades. So before Tony Hawk, the video game, there was Tony Hawk, the skater on ramps in real life.
I actually love that game because Jordan would play it. And so I was like, oh, this is cool. Let me play too. Dang, hella putting me on blast though.
But yeah, so the X Games, so what we see now with dance, World of Dance on TV, and what's the other thing? Red Bull BC1 dance competitions was ESPN's X Games in the 90s. So yeah, it just became this thing, and it was the purpose there for all of us to like practice and compete with each other so we can get good, and hopefully we can be in the X Games. And one of the first, I don't know if it was the first, but for sure one of the very first X Games was in San Francisco. I just went to watch. I wasn't that good. But I had basically, through my sponsors, had competed in all of the like regional contests, ASA, NIS, Pro-Am, a handful of other ones that weren't as globally or nationally recognized. But like in dance, you compete, you see where you stand, and you meet other groups, and it just becomes this giant cultural wave of young energy, which, similar to us in like the past 10 years, has gone from like the underground dance contest plus the collegiate dance contest to this World of Dance concept, combining with the power of MTV, with the power of NBC. And, for the past, 12, 15 years has been this giant boost or burst of young energy, but in dance. So yeah, back in the day it was X Games, and it was, I mean, they were looking back on it now, everything was just kind of made up based on like how we judged people. similar to dance. But that's what I gravitated towards. That was really what I felt like made me feel whole as a person. Like I was able to do my own thing through this vehicle of inline skating, and I made friends. I also was, recognized by, particular sponsors. So it just felt good. And I think that's, at the end of the day, that was like the beginning of how I approached everything, whether it was dance, work, literally work right now is pretty much the same approach.
I don't want to go too far off track. First of all, I think that is amazing. That's probably one of the more fascinating parts of your bio because, everyone knows you as a b-boy and a creator and a DJ, but nobody ever, I don't think a lot of people knew that you started your professional career as an inline skater. I want to go back to, I had read somewhere when we were doing research on you, that you grew up in Missouri, right? And you faced some social injustices, and I'm interested to hear your experience with that and kind of what your thoughts are, about the current climate and what's happening in our society right now.
Yeah, I love that you opened up this door, because personal experiences, I'm looking back in hindsight, it was so difficult. Like my voice is kind of like breaking because I like relive this sometimes, but I'm like this brown dude that lives in the Midwest in St. Louis. And if you're not Black, if you're not white, and if you're not Mexican, you're something. And I was primarily, I was Chinese, right? That's what people, because I had only, and it's so crazy because I was either Chinese or some sort of Mexican. And coming from the Philippines, not being able to see more of your kind, you start to just like imitate what people, portray you as. So I specifically remember being like a fake Mexican gangster so I wouldn't get beat up. Like, dude, straight up. And I remember being able to like navigate through elementary school in this like very defensive way. And again, all this in hindsight. At the time, it was like, okay, this is what I have to do. But in hindsight, and with a little bit more, a little more understanding of like what that felt like, it was high tension every single day because I walked home, I took the bus home, I walked to school. Sometimes when it would rain, I would like have to run to, this space, this like underground, overpass where I would have to wait because I don't know if you know this, but the weather in the Midwest is the extremes of everything, right? When it rains, it's thunder and lightning. When it snows, it's sleet and ice. So, besides the weather, it was like constant defense mode. I would always be tense. I remember there was this one day, this story that my mom always brings up, where she was like super concerned because I didn't go home. And the end result was basically me falling asleep in the back of the bus. And so the bus driver, who completely lied about like, oh yeah, he came off the bus, who had worried my mom that, that he got kidnapped or beat up or something. I was asleep in the back of the bus, and I was asleep in this like bus garage. And I specifically remember being asleep in the back of the bus because I was like hiding from people, and so, I mean, that's a little bit of like the stresses and the fears that I had experienced in the 90s in St. Louis. And then, taking that to where we're at now, it's really difficult for me to understand how we could live in these times where we have the internet, and where we have direct communication. We literally have all the world's knowledge right here. And compassion being, in my opinion at least, being like the ultimate goal, to be as understanding and compassionate. We don't all have to get along. We don't all have to have the same ideas. I actually hope we don't all have the same ideas, right? We should always test, not only contest our own ideas and thoughts, but each other's. I don't understand how we can't sense that. And again, I'm using myself as an example because looking back on what it was like, I feel sorry. And I don't say it to myself in a way that's like, oh, poor me, but like, damn, if I were my son at that time, I wouldn't want that for him. And that's nothing that, that's not against my mom or anything like that. It was just a weird time. And given our current state of us living in this, information age, and we know that we can know anything. We know that. But how is it that we haven't invested more time in knowing ourselves so that we can know our friends and our family a little better? I think compassion for me is something that it should more than knowledge and more than information. I think that's what we should learn, because at that point we'll be able to live amongst each other in a more understanding way. So
yeah, especially during this time, as you said, compassion is key, having empathy. And I also really appreciate that you said that we should be challenging each other's ideas with an open mind, having a growth mindset, and understanding that we're not always going to be right. We may think we know something, but we also have to be ready to accept that we're wrong, and we might need to pivot. So I feel like this might be a good segue into the book that you have in your hand, kind of helping people understand what it takes to be a good human being.
Let me just tell you that this book has not only changed my life, and I'm not saying it like it's the only thing that has changed my life, but it's just it's also like a really simple read, the 4 agreements. It's funny because it's like titled here as like personal growth and self-help. But more than anything, if we read this book, and we'll get into the actual 4 agreements in a second, but if we have a chance to read this book, it's like the simplest form of things that should be common sense. And I know that common sense isn't always common and but the premise to this is the golden rule. It's like do unto those as you treat others the way you want to be treated. We'll Google that later. But to just get through the 4 agreements, I wish I had marked this. I didn't even know I was going to bring this out. The first one is, well, be impeccable with your words. And for me, just to understand what that actually means is that, we can choose how we want to say things. And a lot of times we react to particular, outside external forces, and we just shoot out whatever comes out first. But, be impeccable with your word is really a call into yourself in understanding, wow, what just happened? How am I going to express what just happened? And to make sure that whatever I express is something that I'm truly proud of, to be impeccable with my words. And the second agreement is don't take anything personally. And I've personally, and I've interpreted this in a way that's like, we're affected by things externally, but we don't understand where that came from. That energy or that whatever thing that has affected me came from somebody else who has also been affected by something. So, whatever it is that this person has, or this thing, because it could be a dog, it could be a bus, it could be anything that has affected us, like, whatever. There's that thing also has a story behind it. And, let's not take things personally.
I
Yeah.
love that. I mean, I love already the first two. I think I think the book gives you an opportunity, exactly like you said, to look inside yourself, and really reassess the way that you're handling yourself and you're handling life and you're interacting with people. This is going back to your earlier thoughts about how, we should challenge each other, but let's challenge each other in the right way and in a respectful way. And not try to bring each other down.
Yeah, the bring each other down part is so difficult. I mean, well, it's difficult to grasp from first perspective, right? Because we're always just kind of reacting with whatever's inside. Even me right now, I'm excited to see you guys, and I'm excited to finally speak to you. But we're also creating a show, and it's like, I'm trying to be quote unquote entertaining, but I'm also so excited to see you guys that I just want to talk to you. So it's like a balancing act in good ways and in bad ways.
Well, we're so excited to see you. This has been a long time coming. So for our listeners that don't know, we had the privilege to actually know RJ back in his RJ Kool Raul days. We had the pleasure of knowing him and meeting him, and we actually brought him out to teach our team. And I just remember being incredibly excited about it, and almost to the point where I was nervous. And I know that Devin felt this way because we've talked about this. But then when we actually met you, it was like we had known you forever. And it was like you were just part of the family. And it was so chill and so comfortable. And it was like just kismet. It was totally meant to be.
It's Kuya. It's Kuya RJ.
Excuse me. As you can see right here, it says Kuya RJ. Oops, my video. Likewise, by the way, it's always great to be able to meet new friends and to be able to share stories with new people, but also to be invited and to feel like I was a part of the family. That was really special to me too.
Well, do you remember the calzone?
Yeah, of course. Hello.
It was like, I remember you and Jonathan were like, what the hell? This massive calzone.
Yeah. Yeah. The chef.
Totally forgot. Yeah. After class, we went out to dinner.
Yeah.
Just like family. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Dang. Oh my God, it's all coming back. Sorry. I remember specific moments where we would be in the studio, walk outside of the studio, and San Diego's beautiful, or we would drive through, and I would I've never actually hung out in San Diego. I've heard of a place called the Gas Lamp, and downtown. And some of my friends who are DJs live in San Diego. Shouts to Main One, shouts to Cross One, but I've never had a chance to hang out. And so my memories in San Diego are limited to my friends, like you guys eating out, getting seafood, hang out with Czar. Dude, that guy Czar and his Zarzilla, freaking. So that's my reality, and then it's the airport.
Well, when this is all over, you have to come back and stay, and so that we can actually show you San Diego, and you can have more. I mean, memories of friends are fantastic, but we certainly have to make your San Diego experience elevated, and we can, because we know people. We happen to know a very good chef who can feed you very well.
I know a chef too. I don't know if you know my chef, Kuya Larry. See, we're in that level, the Kuya level, because I'm getting there with him.
Well, and the fact that you called him Kuya, you get points for that as opposed to uncle. You get bonus points. Yes. All right. So I know before we started recording, you said that RJ Kool Raul kind of makes you go like, ooh. Yeah. But I do want to dive into it, and I do want to talk about, because you were part of an internationally acclaimed show, America's Best Dance Crew on MTV, that really paved the way for what dance is now and how we're seeing dance in its current context. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about your experience.
Sure.
And also just talk about how you feel that show impacted the community as it is now.
That is a lot.
You want to know it all.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. So, I mean, that show, well, my team, let me just talk about this group of like unbelievable talent, right? We were created through the single vision. And I say that with full respect and I, given the current state of this person, full respect to his vision at the time. CJ Farside was the reason for Supreme Soul. He was the one who handpicked all of us because he and John were on the same team. So that was a given. At the time, Mitch, George, and someone named Frost were hanging out and performing together. Not together, but they were like the top tier performers in the choreo scene in the Bay Area. They were actively doing things outside of their group, so they were individuals. And Slim and I, maybe even more me, but Slim and I felt like we were just like the guys that like, oh, they invited us. Cool. So it was like a hodgepodge of Bay Area representatives who came together to do this thing. Shouts to the Jabberwockies because they really paved the way for the freestyle group, like the group that was like also hip hop dance or freestyle dancers that could do choreo, but and also shouts to Gary Kendall. But at the time we all had come from a competitive background. We all competed, and so when the Jabberwockies did their thing, we were like, bro, first of all, they're our friends and we're better. What's up, Rainin? So, it was, again, it was just something that just happened so natural. We were all in a good place in our lives. And we just jumped on it. And, what you see on TV is definitely not what it is in real life. But damn, is it so amazing. Till this day, I when people ask me about it, I always say it was like living your dream, because you woke up, danced, performed with your friends, and created things. And then you went back to sleep. We really didn't go back to sleep. We just constantly we were in this mindset of like, let's constantly create, because we were not only paid to be there, but we were also working towards like this future thing. And that's one thing that we all had in mind going into this thing. Like, yo, again, shouts to Jabberwockies, you know, we would always be like, yo, look what they did. You know, we got to be exponentially, you know, quote unquote, better in this space. So we were always thinking about what was next. So when we would perform and when we would go to the actual studio where we would do the camera blocking and the lighting and, you know, all of the actual like TV production stuff, we were about it. Like we were really about it. And I think, you know, the TV producers had recognized that. So, you know, they really helped us out. And contrary to popular belief that we were like arrogant assholes, we were, we were trying to be confident. And there's not, you know, with very little context, you know, on television, it's difficult to understand that. But again, we really took that experience to the fullest, all the way up to 4th place.
Was that the common belief though? Because I remember, I mean, this was something, it was great because it was an opportunity for my family and I to get together and watch America's Best Dance Crew on TV. And I know that Devin and I specifically, and maybe even Jordan too, had talked about how Supreme Soul was one of our favorite teams. And I never got the sense that you guys were arrogant. I loved you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe that's just my perception, but there, you know, the way that we were portrayed and some of the narrative was, especially the whole Jabberwocky thing. Like I look back on that. I look back on that clip. Well, I look back on it in my head, and I specifically remember like the baiting of John Bionic, because Bionic is, if anyone in that group is the OG, it's Bionic. He actually grew up with those guys, with the Jabberwockies. He actually, you know, competed against them and still currently does. But, you know, in that segment, in that little segment where, you know, they asked him about this battle between Soul Sector and Jabberwockies and who won, you know, John was hesitant and respectful. He was like, what? Controversy. And that scene is actually a lot longer than what was there. You know, they filmed it, and it was longer than John saying something, Shane saying something, and then CJ taking the mic. It was a lot longer. They were baiting him, but the editing made it look like. So yeah, again, like, you know, there was just a lot to it, and whether or not we were actually arrogant or if they are assholes or if that's how we were portrayed, it's really left to you know, your perspective on how the show portrayed us. But that's what it felt like to us. Like, oh, we're the bad guys. Okay.
I think I remember that clip and I was like, whoa, did they really just say that? But Michelle and I can vouch that like RJ and Bionic are some of the nicest people that you could ever meet, far from arrogant. Like, seriously. I have so many Supreme Soul specific questions, and I know you've done a lot since then as well, but just a couple of things that I'm really curious about. Where did the name Supreme Soul come from? And then do you still have the jacket?
Yeah. Short answer, no jacket. Long story behind that. Maybe I'll like dabble into it. The name itself, the real name of the group at the time when we first auditioned was Soul Sector. The actual jackets also said Soul Sector on them too. And Soul Sector has a long lineage, bi-coastal crew. I don't actually know if he's the founder. He's definitely not the founder, actually. He's a co-founder, but local OG, young OG, Mikey Disco, shouts to you. He was the one that kind of gave us the thumbs up to use the name on to enter. And then, as things progressed and we actually got the call back and got on TV, it was in our best interest to change the name. So that's the legal term that we're going to use. But the actual name, where it came from, yeah, this would be so embarrassing. So we're really into streetwear, and we were hoping to get a sponsorship with Supreme. Back in the day, we have been down with streetwear, not just on this hype. We have been down. Shouts to Diamond. Shouts to Huff. Rest in peace, Keith. That's what we wore. That's who we were. And so when we got this opportunity, we made up a bunch of names. So Supreme, a bunch of other names. I can't even think of them, but we made up so many names just to kind of get by. And then somebody, I think it actually might have been Bionic, who was like, yo, what if we got that Supreme sponsorship though? Pre-resale, all this StockX, bounce, $1,000 keychain. This is just because they were a dope NYC skate brand. It's we're cool too. So yeah, that's the unofficial reason for the name.
That's a good story. Well, and I mean, Supreme missed an opportunity, if you ask me.
Shoot. It's never too late. I will wear Louis Vuitton if I have to, bro. I'll do it. I'll do it.
If you have to, if you absolutely have to.
Yeah, if I have to, I will even wear last season's.
I remember specifically when we saw the jackets, Devin and I were like, where can we get these jackets? They were amazing. That was like the holy grail. We wanted jackets. We loved those. But all right. Well, you've done some great things since your time on America's Best Dance Crew. So I want to dive into that. And also, who is that beautiful creature?
This is Jojo. Jojo, come here.
Aww.
This is Jojo. He's a Jindo from Korea. He actually just moved here in August. He's a rescue dog.
Sweet.
Yeah.
How old is he?
Less than a year. We don't actually know because he's a rescue.
Baby.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Jojo.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so sweet.
Yeah. I'm not a dog person. This is actually a result of my girlfriend. And I love him and her so much. Notice I said him first on accident. Sorry. I love you too, Geraldine. But I spend all day with Jojo.
Oh, I mean, that's how it goes, though. I think, yeah, my husband definitely baby talks and spoils my dog more than he spoils me. It just happens that way.
Dude, he can't even fend for himself.
He's seriously so cute. All right, well, let's fast forward after America's Best Dance Crew, because your popularity grew. I mean, you were a crowd favorite of America's Best Dance Crew. Everybody knew who you were. Everyone loved your personality. And that really helped, I think, propel you into doing some really cool things. So what happened after America's Best Dance Crew? What did you work on?
Yeah, I was in a very unique situation. I basically paid off all my bills, paid off my car. I am an only child. Both my parents are healthy. Thank baby Jesus. So I went hard. In the paint. I lived in LA, and I basically just did anything and everything that I could. So from dance talent, performing and touring. I never did an international tour. I did a bunch of regional tours, and I did 2 segments where I would learn choreography and perform on stage for artists. And I never lived the audition dance life, because at the time I was very fortunate to be able to like reach out to my manager who had a position for me, like, oh, you'd be perfect for this. Right. So for dance, I was like a shoo-in for whatever. But I dabbled in acting. I was a dance double, a stunt double, a dance double actually too, and a body double for a few things. And again, given that I was like that, so athletic and agile for like a normal, for a normal person, that I would like get these parts. And I would get these parts for people like Ernie Reyes Jr., I would fit the role of certain characters very well. And this is something that I don't ever talk about because it's just I never had a chance to, but in all those experiences, the thing that I would really like sit back and be like, wow, that's it, would be like seeing the production side of things, to see the cameras and the lights. And don't get me wrong, it's like a really amazing thing what producers and the production team does. But it's like pulling the veil back and seeing the Wizard of Oz pull the chain and turn the wheel and honk the horn. It's like, oh, dude, I could do that. So yeah, in addition to all of the performance work, I was also really captivated just by the behind the scenes stuff.
What was the craziest stunt that you had to perform in the times that you were called upon?
Yeah. There's a few crazy. I'll go with like crazy, like, wow, I can't believe I just did that. I got punched and uppercutted by The Rock. Before he was like The Rock, he was, Dwayne Johnson. And he was always The Rock. Excuse me. Let me say it. He was always The Rock. But this is when in the early stages where he was like Dwayne Johnson, the actor. It was for a movie called The Rundown. Yeah. And I have flipped over, and like a crazy thing that's like, wow, that's really fucking difficult. I flipped over a car that was drifting. So it was drifting and I did like a flip over it. Yeah. Which was my idea. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to segue into, because you've always been athletic, and I think you have to be, to be a successful b-boy. But what are you doing now, especially during COVID, to keep up your athleticism?
Oh, dude. I'm very simple. I'm like really, really simple. I wake up hella early and I do the same routine every day. And with this dog, honestly, it's just gotten more regimented. Like I am, doing things literally at the same time every day. So, I move around a lot just in general, but pull-ups, push-ups, it's like the daily routine. And it's actually something that I do to relieve stress throughout the day. So throughout the day, especially in the middle of the day where I'm most irritable because I haven't had, either I haven't eaten or I haven't had a chance to get my second coffee. I'll, in between emails and calls, I'll do push-ups and pull-ups. I'll listen to music that just makes me move versus things that, make me sleep. But, the goal has always just been, in shape, in not anything specific, not to be super swole or super flexible, because I've never been that, but just to be able, like in my head, this is very real. If there was ever a zombie apocalypse, I would want to be the one that's like, bruh, I'm out, up this tree, over this fence. Like, that's real. That if I'm being completely honest, that's what goes on in my head. If I can't climb a tree to get away from a zombie, I'm not doing my job.
I thought I was the only one, like in certain scenarios where I'm like, what would I do if this was a zombie apocalypse? I'm at the mall. Where's my exit? Like, what supplies do I need to grab?
Yeah, and I think of things like, okay, because my girlfriend is like 5'2". She, you know what I'm saying? She would need help. So I'd be like, okay, if I hold on here and I keep my leg down there, would she be able to like climb up? And can I climb up with her? Or like, you know, I want to be able-bodied like that.
I have to ask, what's your favorite zombie movie or TV series?
For sure, movie is oh my God, I just lost it. They're in the mall. It's the old one, George A. Romero. Oh, I forgot it, but it's the old one. It's the old version of that movie where they're in the mall. The Night of the Walking Dead. I forgot, but it's old. So that's my favorite movie, and I actually really, really, really like Walking Dead. We used to go home
the whole way through all the seasons.
You know, I after like the fifth year, after they got off the farm, it fell off, and because of, you know, Netflix, I was able to catch up, but I learned to like it again, I guess. The characters are really, really great. They're developed well, and also Andrew Lincoln, the main character, is from my favorite movie, Love Actually.
Oh my goodness, I love that movie. Love Actually.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
Yeah.
What are you working on now? I want to talk to you about, I've seen snippets on your Instagram, but I'd love to hear more from you, what you're working on now.
Yeah. So, you know, taking it back really quick to that whole like experience I had with seeing the studio stuff. When I moved back in LA around 2011 and 12, I actually went back to intern at like Warner Brothers, at Sony, at Nickelodeon. I went back to just like, again, see what it was like. Like, what are these people doing? Oh, that's it? And little did I know at the time, and I actually, to be fair, we had already been doing parties, private events. So we'd already been producing events. But that to me was like the missing link. Like, oh, what do these people do when they're not on set? And so I learned about like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday red carpet events that happen every weekend. I learned about these, networking cocktail events where these people do business. So I just saw a little bit more about like what it took to produce things, not just the end result, but like who you have to speak to and how you communicate. And I started a production company up here that had called CTA, Creative Transit Agency. And our ultimate goal is to ensure that our talented friends sometimes work outside of their realm of expertise, but to constantly work and provide in between performances. So our sound engineers are trained DJs, our performing artists, dance group leaders, choreography team managers, our project managers for larger projects that, you know, sometimes involve working with the city. So permitting. It's just that, because I personally believe that if you have the discipline and intelligence to succeed in this realm, you can apply all of those same skills in other fields. So CTA was very much that. Creative Transit Agency was very much that vehicle to help work with and hire folks that were my friends and also very talented. And the approach that artists have on these day-to-day menial tasks is like next level. You know, the effort that we put into creating an experience is next level. You know, we don't just check off the box of we got to have food and we got to have music. We apply our own sense of taste into the experience. So it's always a little better or a little different. Given that now we're in this like COVID world, late February to like April, I locked myself inside of my my office at the time in Oakland, and I went through a phase of understanding broadcasting, specifically streaming on the internet. So I learned off of a platform called OBS, which is a free open source software on the internet. And, I learned the very, very basics to creating a show, a broadcast, online show through a broadcasting platform where you would, hook up your virtual cam and audio and sync them with, whatever media you wanted to play. The concept of overlays, the concept of backgrounds and transitions. Fast forward to like September of this year, my partner in crime, her name is Gina Rosales, aka Make It Marico. We have worked on so many things. We produced this event out here called Undiscovered, which is a Filipino night market. Sorry, it's a creative night market put together by Filipinos to enlighten and uplift the Soma community in San Francisco. We did that for 4 years, I think 4 years, might be even more. But we had been working on so much that we basically were sought after for producing these like engaging events online. And so the need for my new company, Ad Virtual, like I had to create Ad Virtual so that I could get these contracts that were coming my way, because, CTA this is completely different from what we do. And so now I'm like I just got off of a client called describing, the concept of engagement. Like, what does that mean now on the internet? How do we measure that? What is it? How do we even understand if our guests in our rooms, in our Zoom rooms, or in our conference spaces are engaged? They can't talk to us. They can't tell us how great it was. What does that mean? So, my work now is similar to what it was with CTA, in a sense that I'm providing a platform for these types of gatherings, but the tools and especially the outcomes are completely different.
That's awesome. How do you stay, as self-made entrepreneurs? I mean, you have to set your own schedule. You have to set your own goals. How do you stay motivated?
Yeah. I try not to think of that. If I'm being honest, like I try not to think about, I got to do this, I got to do that. I try to think of, what would I be doing? Like, if I'm not doing this, what would I be doing? Right. And so, the whole February was a shock. February, March was like a hit in the gut because, to share a little bit, CTA obviously has, CTA has done a lot of really cool events, but we were actually transitioning into sports entertainment. We picked up a contract with the Oakland Panthers, who were, indoor football league. So we were jumping into this realm of like, hell yeah! Marshawn Lynch at these meetings, you know what I mean? It's like we were maturing into this next level of sports entertainment. And so I think at that time, to answer your question, at that time, I was forced to stay healthy. I was forced to not sit in despair and sadness. I was forced to not think about the what ifs. And again, the thought process was, well, if we can't do that, what am I going to do? And it's a lot of introspection, right? And it's a lot of being alone, which I'm used to, thank God. It's one of those things that if I didn't have the mental fortitude based on my history and past, I don't know if I would have approached this pandemic the way I did. So yeah, the motivation thing, I try not to think about being motivated as much as like, well, what the hell else am I gonna do? You know? Yeah.
That's something that I've actually never heard before in terms of advice for staying motivated, is to just not think too hard about it. And that makes so much sense to hear it, because when you're thinking about staying motivated, I mean, it's kind of like you're negating what you're actually trying to attract, and you're spending all that time trying to stay motivated, but when you should just keep moving forward and doing and taking action.
Yeah, and I would also add, just to be careful with how we talk to ourselves in the context of moving forward, because forward isn't necessarily good, especially if you're moving forward with this giant thing that you need to like turn around and look at and address, because that will haunt you, right? The issues, like, you know, the issues that we face internally in the background always come back, you know, and those things that recur will affect the things in the future. So, you know, even the idea of moving forward can be very, very it might negate the whole purpose of being motivated. It's like forcing yourself to meditate. I got to meditate. That's not, you know, it's like, you know, let's just be.
That's really powerful. And it's again, like Devin said, it's not a perspective that we're used to hearing, because we're always talking about how can we make progress? How can we move it forward? What action can you take to, you know, to move on from it? But that's really powerful, to like just focus on being present as opposed to constantly being in a hurry to move it forward. That is super powerful. I love that.
Yeah. I didn't make it up. I'm just
I mean, we don't have to tell anybody that you didn't make it up. RJ's a genius. All right. Well, I think, Dev, did you have a question?
At the time that we're airing this episode, we'll be in the new year. So I was going to ask RJ, what are some of his goals for 2021? And what advice do you have for people that are gearing up and trying to get like their mind right for the new year?
Yeah. You know, if 2020 has taught us anything, it's taught us of how simple and fragile our lives actually are. And I'm not even talking about the broad, you know, perspective of like, well, this pandemic kills people, because and it does. It's not that. It's not it's not just that. It's like, how dependent are we on things? You know, can you get home without this phone? Can you, you know what I'm saying? Like, can you, where do you get your news? How do you learn? Or how dependent are you on apps versus books versus, you know, like we are living in like such a fragile time where this pandemic has caused people to be afraid of running out of toilet paper. You know what I mean? So for, you know, 2021, you know, I would highly recommend that we all, even us, the folks that are in loving relationships, spend more time alone, spend more time simplifying the daily processes. Guys, especially, let's be able to say that we love each other in a way that is not just about praising us for accolades and, bro, you like made triple double. I don't even know what I just said because I don't play basketball, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Convincing. I believed you.
But you know, there's a lot more. Hey, good boy. There's a lot more to us connecting as like normal people, humans, than waiting for the specific thing. Like we don't have to celebrate and praise each other for the things that happen like this. You know, we can talk about things and just be able to share our thoughts about each other, you know? And I think, again, in a world, in a time where we literally have the world's knowledge here, we should be more in tune with how we communicate as people, and not be afraid so much of, you know, this right here. I know that I personally miss hanging out with friends, with you guys, and being in the same room. But man, thank God for this. Thank God for this technology and our ability to communicate over vast distances. You know, the term gratitude is constantly thrown around about big things. Like, I'm grateful for my health, and I'm grateful for this. And that's important. I believe that's important. But you know what? I'm also grateful for the fact that this dog misses me, and he's chewing on my string. And I'm grateful for the Zoom technology to be able to communicate with you guys. You know, this right here is not favorable for our current situation, but I love him, and he's not barking. So I think the little things of gratitude, to be grateful and compassionate over the little things also.
That's great advice. And I love what you said about just taking moments to ourselves. I think that that's really important. And I think that we don't do enough of it. And when you say spend time with yourself, I'm going to make a big assumption here. I'm assuming that you mean spend quality time with yourself. Don't immediately go and like play Candy Crush or go on Facebook, right?
Well, you know, I can't share. I can't judge anyone based on what they need, right? I can't just be like, dog, you used to play PlayStation 5 all day, because who knows? But I'm a firm believer that given a certain amount of time of freedom to yourself, you'll find your way. Like, whether if you need, I'm not gonna lie, when I never watched Game of Thrones, but I watched it in 2 months, and I'm not proud of it. But now I can talk to my friends in a way that I never talked to them. You know what I mean? I can relate to them in a particular way. And I think that's a part of compassion, is like understanding that we're all in the process. So whatever you need to do to be alone, do that, because the end result of that is something good. I think the converse effect is always chasing something that's not you. Also, always trying to be like, oh, dog, oh, you watch Joe Rogan? Okay, I gotta watch Joe Rogan. Or you got a PS5? Okay, I gotta get a PS6. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you like that book, bro? Okay, I'm gonna read that book. Like, if it's not for you, it's not for you. And that doesn't mean it's not always gonna be for you, but I think at the root of it is just being honest with what you need and what you feel. And and I think that only comes with the ability to be alone in any way that you can, in any way that you feel comfortable being alone. I didn't make it up.
Well, and we talked about it in a episode in our previous season with one of our guests, Josh, who's a great family friend, and we had the chance to dance with him early on when we opened the studio. We talked about like being alone, right? Doing things on your own, and the longest relationship you'll ever have is with yourself.
Oh yeah.
You gotta learn how to be with yourself.
Yeah. I want to share something really, really quick, because this is like a part of the whole being alone thing. So when I lived in LA, I had a bunch of jobs up here, because I had clients up here at the time, corporate clients, event groups and event teams that I would like work with as talent, as an organizer. And I drove up and down, not exaggerating, every other weekend, and sometimes every weekend. Yeah, a minimum every other weekend. So I would be alone in my car listening. And the very, very first, they weren't even podcasts. The very first thing I learned about the internet on YouTube specifically that was long form like conversation was TED Talks. And 6-hour drive from LA to the Bay Area. That was like, and I would measure my time in like TED Talks. So I'd be like, oh, hell yeah, I'm on my 8th TED Talk. Bruh, I'm about to get lunch, you know? It's lunchtime. So in that time, I would like savor the moments that I could be alone, but alone with my mind running. And that experience like led me to other forms of internet broadcasting and podcasts like Joe Rogan. I love Joe Rogan for who he brings on. I also very much appreciate his perspective and his view on certain things. But also, you know, he's like this white dude who's balling out of control. So I don't really relate. But I appreciate that he introduced me to guys like Sean Carroll, I saw a particular side to this guy named Alex Jones, and learned a hell of a lot about psychedelics, which I hope one day I can talk about that. But ultimately, it's like I said earlier, you know, where do you get your information from? And I think at the time when I was so caught up in like living in LA but working in the Bay, I started to feel like similar to how I felt. I mean, I've never realized this, but it was really similar to how I felt in February. It was like, well, I'm going to be in this car for like 6 hours. What am I going to do? Right? So yeah, I mean, the whole ingestion of like TED Talks and the understanding of learning through these videos, and, you know, being able to dig a little deeper after, you know, after these videos and doing my own research, and also thinking, just, you know, the luxuries of having time is the ability to just think. Like if I would say if someone doesn't understand that, you should start there. I forgot the question.
But you hit it spot on. And I love that you talked about that because, you know, especially for me, Devin and I have talked about this. I try to do a morning routine and I try to get up before my son gets up so that I have time to actually think and be alone with myself, because the rest of the day I don't, right? It's always mommy, mommy, mommy. Where are you, mommy? You know, like, how long are you going to take, mommy? So I get up intentionally early so that I could actually be alone to process my thoughts. And I agree with you. I think it's a great place to start.
Yeah, for sure. There's, I mean, again, we kind of live in this world where we, you know, measure success with all these things that we have, but the time to enjoy them and ourselves and dogs biting you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have time to enjoy the stuff that you earned. But really, like, for real, just the ability to exercise your brain with free thinking. What if I'm wrong about Donald Trump? What if I'm wrong about my religion? What if I'm wrong about why I'm working so hard? Why am I so motivated working so hard? Where does that come from? You know, there's a lot of things that we confuse from anger with insecurities. You know, let's figure that out, you know? So yeah, to be able to just sit freely and think is such a huge luxury.
Jojo, you're so stinking cute.
You know what? I don't have a kid, but if he was my son, this is exactly how I would discipline him. I'd be like, oh, you want to keep going? You're going to be tired.
I love it. Well, all right. So now is the part of the show where we're going to segue into something fun. You know, everybody knows you as RJ Kool Raul, and we've, you know, dived really deep into your philosophies and your beliefs in how to be successful. But there's some things that people don't know. So Devin is going to ask you a series of rapid fire questions. I'm going to set a timer for 45 seconds. And the idea is just to answer as quickly as possible. First thing that comes to mind.
Let's do it.
All right, Dev, I am setting the timer. Let me know. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. RJ, are you ready? Kuya, are you ready?
Mang RJ.
All right, go.
DJ or dancer?
DJ. Ah, shoot. DJ. I've already failed.
RJ or Raul?
RJ for sure.
If you had 4 more hours added to your day, how would you spend them?
Oh. The first thought was sleep. So I'm going to go with that.
Food? That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Favorite food?
Okra.
Student or teacher?
Student.
If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
Oh, dang. Oh, dude, the first place I thought was Half Moon Bay to cut down a Christmas tree.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Fly.
Time.
Okra? Really? Okra?
Dude, I know it's weird. And I don't really know where it came from. But last month I ate okra. I ate like hella okra, like a cup and a half of okra every day.
That's disgusting.
You've never had my okra, that's why.
Okay, tell us your secret recipe for making okra taste good.
Yeah, I just boil it and throw some salt.
When my mom listens to this, like, she's gonna be like, yeah, okra is delicious. My mom, our mom loves okra, but I just can't get near it. It's like slimy and weird.
You know, when you were born in the 90s, I'm sure there was like an anti-okra campaign. So I get it. It's okay. In the 90s, they also told you to eat more bread and grain. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's actually true.
Yeah, it was the foundation to the pyramid.
Do you know that they still teach that? My son and I had this conversation because, you know, they taught him the food pyramid, and my husband and I are like, no, that's not true. That's not how it works. It's not healthy for you. And he was like totally trying to debate us because that's what they teach him in school.
You should give him okra. If you give him okra once a day, he will appreciate all of those other vegetables so much more.
That's true. Because, I mean, if I think about like all the other vegetables that are out there, they're preferable to okra, at least in my mind.
There's actually another one that I've been trying to eat because right now I've conditioned myself to like, I can eat okra with anything and it's all good. But bitter melon, ampalaya, oh man, my mom said it was good for the blood. And so I'm like, okay, but yeah, I just can't. I'm trying, but I can't.
No, that is a hard no.
Yeah. Listen, it's good for the blood. It's good for your blood. It's good for your blood. Just try.
There's one question on here that we didn't get to, and I'm interested to know if you could choose to be one age for the rest of your life, what would it be?
26 was amazing.
And 26 because that part of your life was amazing. That's why you would choose it, or did you have a particular mentality at that time?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. Like, it was so easy to answer that question because I remember it. Even though I don't really remember 2009, 10, 11 details too well, 26 was a fearless year. And, fearless in the sense that I was ready to fail. I was ready to just be like, what do I got to lose? And not that I've changed so much since, but it was also at a time where I wasn't responsible for other people's paychecks. I had less responsibilities. You begin to consider not only your decisions, but also getting back to the book, your words and how you're presented and how you're represented, because you are responsible for people at a particular age, whether it's your kids or whether it's the business that helps support other families and their endeavors. It's like 26 was that year where I was dabbling in things that just, why not? That was a good, why not? It was like the why not year. Yeah.
It's a good way to live life. And we actually talked to another friend earlier last season. And one of my biggest takeaways from our conversation with her was constantly asking yourself, why not? Like, don't make up excuses. Don't let yourself be contained by these limiting beliefs. Yeah. Just ask yourself, like, why not? Why not do this?
Yeah. Yeah. Whoever that was, I'm with her.
So what's next for RJ? I mean, we talked a lot about what you've done previously as a dancer and also what you're doing now. But what do you see in the next 1 to 5 to even 10 years?
Yeah. So Ad Virtual has become, work related. Ad Virtual has become a very, very, very important tool, not only for work and earning money, but also it's like how I support my community, dance community, DJ community, whoever, my friends who are getting married, like we broadcast their weddings. And I think for me, if I had to answer that question very vaguely, like I normally do, it would, it would be like, what is the next purpose? And right now, again, in terms of work, Ad Virtual is such a key component to how I am purposeful in my friends' lives. Personally, I mean, I've been rollerblading a lot. I take this dog on walks. I'm really grateful for the chance to be able to create more. I've been able to move and dance freely and have a little bit more fun with it. I think you had asked me something in the questionnaire about how many hours a day I dance. I don't dance much, but when I do, it feels so good. So there's gonna be a lot more of that, hopefully. I mean, there's a lot of plans, but I just ultimately just want to be hella happy and proud of this stuff. And, we're on that path. So that's what's next, more happiness.
That's a beautiful way to look a beautiful outlook to have on life, for sure, is just to focus on happiness. And, kind of in light of everything that's happening in our community, there's been a lot of reports of sexual misconduct in the dance community and social injustices and just COVID. I mean, 2020 has really taken its toll on the dance community. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are of what's good in the dance community. Let's highlight something that's positive right now. What's your opinion on what's good right now?
Just the community alone in general, just to be able to say that there is still a community. The gatherings and stuff were a huge component for sure. We would all congregate and meet for this particular thing. But, we, as creatives, we've gotten creative. I've seen a bunch of e-battles, I've seen As a teenager who used to go to raves, it was so funny for me to say that. Oh my God, that's dude. It like as I was saying it, I was like, bro. So as creatives, we've gotten creative with how we gather, and I think that's huge. I think it's important. You know, we're in a place where we can redefine how things are moving forward, and I think that's super great for dance and all the folks that are participating in it. I've noticed an influx of DJs. I've noticed an influx of dancers who are not only DJing, but creating more dance music, you know, so exercising your creative muscle in other realms. The dance community has always been, I'm not going to say young, but it has always been a huge part, at least from my experience, always been a huge part of how this next generation has been shaped or formed. So I think now we're seeing a lot of dancers who are earning money on Instagram, who are starting up their career as young, talented performers, and to kind of address, you know, what some of my OGs or my teachers' thoughts on, you know, quote unquote, keeping it real. It's like, yeah, you know, I hear you, but it's a different world. It's a different time. We engage and communicate differently. So what you needed in the past to do what you had to do is not the same as what we need now. And so I think, you know, the dance community, especially the younger generation, who's really utilizing this tool to not just be seen, but to, you know, start up their career, whether it ends up in dance or makeup or whatever, you know, the dance community helps and contributes to all of that, because they are like your foundation to what got you to where you are. Like there's a dancer who is one of my good friend's niece. Her name is Jaden Hernandez. She's originally from the Bay Area, but she's moved to LA. And you know, we used to produce shows that she would like pay to perform at, you know, to have something on her reel. And then she moved to LA with her parents, and now she's like this beautiful woman who has started this career through dance, and now she's getting into her own products in makeup. You know what I mean? So the dance community in itself has always been this like safe. Well, not safe. Well, let me just say that it's been the foundation to you being able to do more. And if dance is your vehicle, in the way that like technically inline skating was my vehicle to gain the confidence to blossom out and try things, I mean, that's all you can really ask for, you know. TikTok. It's so crazy. It's so crazy to think about how powerful a single online instrument could be. And for whatever reason, you know, whether you're in this dance thing to be like the best that you can be or to be better than the next person, it's whatever. But anything that allows people who normally wouldn't dance to dance, or to have the freedom to dance, I think is a good thing. So yeah, the dance community has kind of expanded into all these different realms, and you know, dance being the kind of tying genre of expression is like, we can't talk about the dance community as we used to know it. So yeah.
That was a great answer.
I didn't make it up.
You did. You actually did this time. I just want to say, I'm going to hand it over to Devin, but I just want to say, I love you. I feel so blessed and privileged to know you. And I'm so happy that we were able to reconnect and that you're still part of our life. You are truly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, you are truly an incredible human being. And I hope that we can stay connected. And thank you so much for being on our show today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I have to echo Michelle. I mean, just our hearts pour with a lot of gratitude. And it actually makes me really sad that we're ending the episode because it was just such an amazing conversation. And we were fangirls of you when you were on ABDC with Supreme Soul. But I think even more so, we're fangirling over the fact that you're like, truly a supreme human being. You are a supreme soul. So thank you so very much for being on today's episode.
Yeah, well, I don't know how to respond to any of that. And so I'm going to say thank you. And I appreciate you both. I can't believe, Devin, you have grown up to be this woman.
I still can't believe it.
You know, it's one of those things, like, I swear it was like 10 years ago, you were just a little girl with big shorts and an extra large shirt.
That was hip hop back then.
Jordan's probably like 7 feet tall. You know.
Please don't bring your friends.
Thank you so much for listening to the Collab podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, please show your support by leaving a review on iTunes.
And be sure to subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts.
The conversation continues over on Instagram and YouTube with highlights from today's episode.
When you on the way, make that move. Case they dead, no, that's my boo. Yeah, that's boo.